Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth with World's Cup of Joe. Awaken your soul. Welcome back to another edition of Soul School. And I'm super excited this morning to talk about triggers to soul. And I wanted to talk about triggers because triggers are super important in this journey. They're super important. We don't like them. They feel awful, but they're actually what's getting us to that next level of our own soul alignment. They're actually raising our vibration. And once again, it's the morning, so my cats are all around and super happy to be a part of Soul School. So I'm just gonna let them. But triggers are super important because they allow us to dig deep and start shedding those insecurities and fears of mind that have been holding us and restricting us from getting deeper into our own soul alignment. So when triggers come for you, it is important when you're able to, because a lot of times right at first it's painful and mind is so going crazy that doing anything more with the triggers is just overwhelming. So when that pain has semi-subsided, this is your opportunity to dig deep with the trigger and find out what is the root of this trigger. Because once you can pull that root out, that trigger's root, that's when you can release it. And it's not going to come back and bother you ever again the same way it did at this moment. At the worst moment, triggers lose their power, they lose their capability once you start pulling them out from the root and tackling them. So I want to talk about triggers and how they're transmuted through soul. So let's turn the camera. Okay, here's my handy dandy board, and it is not perfect and there's no pictures today because like I said, I'm not an artist. But we're going to talk about triggers to soul. Twin flame triggers. Your twin flame triggers you. Why? A lot of people come to Joanne and myself and are like, I've been triggered, and it doesn't matter if their twin flame is in front of them, on the phone with them, or even if they're in separation, they are still getting triggered by their twin flame. Why? Because your twin flame is the best catalyst for you to shed the layers to get you to soul. They will always be your best catalyst. They trigger you like no one else can. And not only do they trigger you, but their triggers, different from other people, maybe mom, sister, friend, their triggers are different because you want to act on your triggers with them. You want to rid yourself of these painful triggers. Different than maybe a family member that triggers you. You're okay to stuff it down a little bit longer and just sit with it until the trigger comes back. You don't need to act on it. You don't want to remove it. But your twin flame triggers, it is too painful to sit with. And that's for a reason, because they are your best tool to get you to soul alignment. That's what they were put here for. I know that it doesn't feel like that. It feels like we were meant to just be together and live happily ever after, but that's not their role. Can that happen? Yes, it absolutely can. But their role is actually to get you to your best and highest self. So with the trigger that came from your twin flame, what fears came up for you? Now I'm going to go off of very general ones. Abandonment. You are scared they're going to abandon you. I had this fear. This was my number one fear, and it happened. It happened with my person. They abandoned me, and obviously we're in a co-relating experience now, so it wasn't permanent, and soul was able to bring me to a place where I was balanced and they could be back in my energy. But abandonment's huge. People are scared they have fears of being abandoned. And here's where I write in blue is soul. Soul, you don't need anyone else. If everyone leaves you and you're in soul, you're okay. You're okay. And I know for those of you that have felt the soul highs, that have felt the pure love of soul, you know what I'm talking about, that every single person could be away from you. They could have left you, and you're okay. But I'm gonna guarantee you, when you're in soul, no one's gonna abandon you because they want your energy. They crave the energy of soul that they don't know how to bring about for themselves. So there will not be abandonment. So that is just a fear of mind. And you change that fear and transmute it through love of soul. You don't need anyone else. You are perfect. That brings us to our next fear, not being loved, worthy, or enough. This is really painful. This is a painful fear for a lot of people. It was a painful fear for me. Mine was not about being loved, worthy, but mine was about being enough. Am I enough? Will I ever be enough? And soul, this is where I wrote, you are love. You are perfect. When you're in soul, you have all source energy contained within you. You are love. You are the definition of love when you are in soul. So there's no worrying, there's no fear of not being loved because love is what you are. And worthy, you are always worthy of everything. Your soul is powerful and it's bringing you everything you want. You're always worthy of everything you desire in life. You have been given all of the same tools, if not more, because you have been awakened than everybody you know. I mean, that's pretty powerful stuff. You being awakened has given you a head start from everyone you know to becoming the worthy being, to being the worthy being. You are the worthy being just by being soul. You are worthy and you're always enough. You're always enough. Always, because you're perfect. Soul is perfect. Okay, so the next one, alone. A lot of people have fears of being alone, but you're enough alone. When you're in soul, you don't feel lonely. You don't. There's not that feeling of alone because that's a fear of mind. When you're in soul, you are enough. It is enough to be by yourself. You don't need anything outside of yourself. You feel this wholeness that soul brings. That's my kitty. She's so sweet. So now let's get to the last one, a feeling of lack. Maybe this is what came up with you. You see that your person is living the life that you always wanted, and you are now feeling lack. Your life is not enough. Well, soul brings you abundance. You are abundant. You have everything at your fingertips to know how to manifest. You are the creator. You can do it all on your own. There's no lack because you are abundance. Soul is abundance and it's trying to give you everything you want. You need to let go of those limiting beliefs that have been prohibiting your abundance from flowing in. That's the work that you're going to need to do. So let me remind you, and this I know was a pretty quick soul school reminder, but soul is love. It is the opposite of fear. You don't need anything or anyone outside of you because soul, once again, is love. It's perfect. And it will always, when you are in the vibration of soul, these other fears, they don't come up. They get squashed immediately through the feeling of love and joy that soul brings about. So when you're feeling any of these insecurities, these triggers that your twin flame brings up, get deep. What is the underlying reason that this trigger is bothering you so much? And how do you erase it? How do you erase it and get to a better place? Through soul, because that's the goal. Soul alignment will make you feel better. It'll take this pain away. So give it a shot. Transmute fears through love. Love you guys.